Hi, I'm Cassie Estrad with Music for Your Inbox, and today I get to talk to Archie Carey and Odeya Nini, who have collaborated to make a film that they're calling Intangible Currents. So I'm going to invite them now.
Hi, great to see you both.
How's it going?
I'm doing really well. How are you both?
Good.
Good. Great. It's nice to see you, in person a lot lately and also just on Instagram. It's great. I wanted to talk to you about this film that you just made kind of in a whirlwind, it feels like. We keep talking about on Music for Inbox how we love to give people a long time and really like digest the themes and come up with a film, and sometimes it takes someone like over a year, and then you all put this together in this like whirlwind, and it's responding to like exactly the moment we're living in, and that's what we're so excited about, because we were like, oh wow, if we get people to do things fast then we can really respond to the world around us. So I'll just say real quick what it is. There's a video, a sound film, and the music is by both of you, and the video is by Archie, if that's right. So I'm wondering if we'll just sort of dive right into the film. Okay, so to set the stage, it seems to me that Archie, you made the film and then you guys did the music afterwards.
Yeah.
Which is so cool, because often it's the other way around for us, because we always think about the sound first, but in this case you're thinking about the visuals first. So Archie, could you talk a little bit about like what you did to construct this film without any audio and sort of how you imagined it going?
Yeah. The original plan was to do audio first and then make a film from that. But just because of timing and traveling and things like that, it made more sense for me to actually just make a video.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we ended up doing is we improvised to the video. And it really just started. I know the prompt that you guys gave me was, we'd love to have some music by you and Odeya. You having some sort of visuals like the psychedelic desert stuff that you put on your Instagram. So I kind of started from that, and I thought, okay, I dropped Odeya off at the airport with our kids, and I was like, okay, I have a few days. She's out of town. To make this film. So I was at the airport. I went straight to the beach. I was like, okay, I'm going to think about what I'm going to do. And I just sort of started filming long shots of the sand and the ocean. And then I was thinking about how you were talking about the desert. And I was thinking about how, the sand in the ocean, if you just look at the sand, is kind of like looking at the sand in the desert. And then I started just filming the water. And I've been doing this for a while, like using the green screen function on iMovie, which is, it's supposed to be that you film something in front of a green screen and then you put special effects behind it. But if you use that function, you can also just, so what I was doing is I was using the sand and thinking, what if the sand was the green screen? And then I could put something where the sand color is, and then the water is flowing over that. And then I was thinking, oh, if I start with the bubbles, then the bubbles of the wave could be the green screen. And then I could make whatever is the ocean, white water, could be something else. Mm-hmm. So I just sort of started at the ocean. And then over the next few days, I was just thinking about it a lot everywhere I went. And walking in nature, there were so many flowers blooming at the time, and then those two elements kind of just came together: the greenery, the flowers, and then the ocean combined.
Yeah, well, it's really effective, and it's really kind of feels healing or therapeutic when I watched it the first time through, because I was looking at this footage in the film of the desert, right? Like it looks like it's out near Joshua Tree or something, like that kind of topography. And there's these big cracks in the earth. And then you've overlaid the video of the ocean on top. And it's just like water rushing into this really parched earth.
Yeah.
And it was sort of, I felt my body just kind of, whew, like kind of relax in a way, just sort of, I understand that climate change is real and that, we're in for some big changes, but to have that relief from drought is something that we're really feeling here in Southern California specifically, and in other parts of the world too, but I can only speak for where I do live. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was just because there's those big like fissures almost in the earth, and then there's just the ocean washing over them. Now, of course, I know that the salinity of the ocean would not indeed nourish the desert, but the visuals of that water flooding over the desert was really, really effective.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, that's sort of like one of the layers that I really noticed.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about. I was just thinking a lot about because originally I was planning to do more of mixing the ocean with the desert, but then once I started filming the plants, it made me think so much about how everything that's living needs water, and all of the water that's from the ocean evaporates and rains down on these plants and then flows to the ocean. Like all the water everywhere is just flowing all over the place. And then I got more interested in like flooding the plants and sort of like almost as if you could show like an X-ray of the plant and see that there's actually water flowing through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like the desert, that there's like one shot of the desert, and I feel like that one was actually just like a happy accident, the way that because I was the part that looks like rock fissures is actually at the beach.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so that was actually like a jetty.
Yeah.
And then I was sort of like panning across the jetty, which then like lines up with a path in the desert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really neat. It's like storytelling in a way, and making you think about the relationships of water and the earth, and so it was really effective. It totally was working. I'm curious. So Odeya, you fly to Israel with your family, and then Archie is like cooking away on this film, and then you come home, and then it's like, surprise, you're gonna record. And so, were you like, did you watch the film first, or did you watch it as you were improvising, or what was the process for you?
Yes, I did watch the film first, and I was like, wow, Archie, I really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I watched it and I was like, okay, let's go for it. And we basically improvised to it several times. We did a few takes and just kind of played with it together. Yeah, so I knew the world that I was in, but yeah, and I think because of the way it moves and kind of things blending and bleeding into each other, I didn't feel like, okay, this is like a next scene, I should like change and have this new thing happening or something. I just felt like wherever I was going in my improvisation could kind of evolve, and one thing can turn into the next and maybe come back. It felt like, it's like just kind of morphing and turning into different things, and that worked with the movement of the film. So I was just I wasn't thinking of like different sections.
Mm-hmm.
When I was improvising, I was just thinking of going places and evolving it, like continuously evolving it and then bringing it back home at the end, which was really satisfying because, yeah, you can just kind of begin and like, where is this going to go? Where's this going to take me? And, yeah.
And you were were you at your studio, or were you also in the like refrigerator unit with the pump organ?
Yeah.
You were in the
magnificent refrigerator. I actually did a photo shoot in there. It's like an amazing space. It's not refrigerated yet, but it's like this room that has these like cool textured metal walls.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really cool space to be in. and there's a pump organ in there now. And we just, we were just in this room, this silver space, and with the organ, and we just turned the lights off actually, and got in the mood and started, and saw where the muse took us. And Archie was playing. Archie could speak to what he was playing, but it was definitely like giving me space to. It was just like a lush chords drone underneath, and I could just kind of like fly over it and dip down like a pelican. It was just like. Where am I going with this like ocean of the pump organ sound underneath me? Very satisfying sound. It was very satisfying to do that.
Yeah, well, when I listen back to it, it's sort of disorienting in a good way, because like that space acoustically is not something my ear would recognize right away. You know what I'm saying? Like it's clear, like it's not outside, not inside, and that really helps with the layered video, because then you're just there for it. You're not worried about where are you located in the space. Archie, you were about to say something about that recording session too.
Yeah, something that was kind of fun was when we played it, when we recorded it, Odeya was watching the video, but I wasn't. So I was just kind of going off of her and trying to, it's almost like the video was a score that I had created. And I knew roughly how long it was, but I didn't know where she was in it. And I was just kind of going off of her and trying to accompany what she was doing. And we did 2 takes like that. And then 1 take where I watched the video and I just played by myself. And then we layered all of the takes. So you hear like all the different versions at the same time.
Wow. It's neat, because then the audio layers somewhat match the video layers in that there are multiples. It's sort of, you made this like amazing Lego system. Everything is like locking together.
It was fun too, because the first time, the first take, the video was like very fresh for Odeya. I mean, I had obviously seen it a million times. And then the second take we did, I think immediately, like right after, right? I don't even think we took a break. We were just like, all right, let's do it again. So it was that kind of interesting, having such an intimate relationship with the video, and then like how do you build on that, knowing that it's going to be layered, was a fun process. Yeah.
Did you set out with the intention of layering them, the audio things, or was that sort of a decision? Okay, so you were leaving space in each layer, knowing that there would be other things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the music that Odeya and I used to play more of, like 10 years ago, was a lot of improvised loop pedal stuff. And I feel like I took a little bit of inspiration from that concept, and layering it was kind of like having loop pedals. And then I also took each version and like spread them. So there's actually 5 layers. So each layer, so the first take got like a 3.5 second duplication, and then the second take got like a 5. Oops.
Ceiling.
like half a second. So it's almost like this like delay.
Yeah.
Just soupiness. Yeah.
That's a neat idea of staggering the takes to create delay. I mean, it's.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like the
I think
delay
that's.
that never goes away.
I know, but it's neat because like a lot of the mechanisms that you use, you yourself say, oh, they're really simple. I'm only using iMovie or whatever, but they're extraordinarily effective, and I don't feel like bigger, more powerful tools would necessarily serve your art better. Like you're using these. I hesitate to say simple because there's sort of a negative connotation, but you're using these straightforward procedures, and yet you're getting these big impact results, which is what really drew Jed and I to your video work to begin with. When we were sort of saying like psychedelic desert stuff, that was just sort of our like way of our shorthand we developed when we were talking about your work. I mean, yeah, big secret. You know, Jen and I talk about videos we'd love to have someday, and there's like just some big list somewhere of like fantasy videos, and then of course this was one where we're like, we should probably say this out loud if we want this video to happen. But yeah, we've called the pairing Super Bloom because there's visual art that goes with it by our visual artist Janet, who's going to be chatting with Jen tomorrow, and her piece came together pretty quickly too, and so we sort of felt like, you know, there's a lot of articles right now out about the super bloom happening in Southern California or actually kind of all over California. Honestly, I drove up the coast a few times this month and there's blooms everywhere. And it's like this idea that there's all these seeds that are just under the earth and they're waiting and then they finally get enough water and it's like, wow. And that's the scientific term for that. It felt like your work was similar, like this video. I know that you put a ton of hours into it, but it felt like it really came together quickly. Is that typically how you work, Archie, in your filmmaking?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's almost like it's the closest thing to improvising. You do something really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this kind of like layering imagery stuff that I've been exploring more in the last few years started. I mean, I always used Photoshop when I was even in high school, I think, just like messing around. But at one point, I was doing social media for Wild Up, and there for like a couple of years, and I had like a Photoshop app on my phone, and I was trying to like make content on almost a daily basis with not a lot of stuff to work with. So I got really into like taking an old photo of something. Oh, what if I erase the background and replace it with the cosmos? Or like, what if I take this person and I make them floating in this? And I just started having fun with that. But it was always like a really quick turnaround. It was always trying to do it as quickly as possible, you know, almost every day. And I think that kind of got my brain working and firing in a way where it was like just going, like similar to improvisation, like just go with what's your gut instinct and keep it and don't think about it too much. You know, you can go back and tweak it later, but just go with the flow of what feels right in the moment.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's definitely how the video came together. It was like me taking a lot of video shots on walks in my backyard, at the beach, and then at night kind of like putting them together and seeing how it works. If I felt like I was getting fatigued, like creatively, then I would just put it away, check it out tomorrow, you know. But yeah, it was kind of like if inspiration hit, just go, keep going with it. I didn't know when it was gonna end. I didn't have like a map, like beginning, middle, and end. I just kind of kept building on the first scene, and then it became what it was.
But I just want to say that I feel like looking at it, you know, I mean, it's I think it feels emotional, you know. I mean, I feel like it's our home, it's our state, you know. It's our home, not literally our backyard, those black-eyed Susans, but also places that we love and we're connected with. And there's like symbolism in there, and our children make appearances in there, and we're in there, and like, you know, the sand turns into stars, turns into the water. Like, it's very, yeah, it feels like it has a lot of emotion to it, and motion, and it feels very personal too. I felt like when I watched it, I was like, this is so, it's like a, you know, it felt personal to us. So yeah, I loved that it's not, you know, when we overthink these things, they can just, yeah. I mean, most of what I do is in the moment. I mean, it comes from a place of like knowing my craft, writing about things, thinking about things, being that thing, whatever, but I'm not like, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. It's like, actually when I start going down that route, I can, and I'm not the best at making decisions, like, actually. But then I'm like an improviser making decisions in the moment. So it's like, when you're not overthinking, when you're just like, oh, wow, there's this, like, beautiful feeling of discovery in the moment. Like, wow, I'm, like, discovering my own work. I'm discovering my own process in the moment and looking back at it, right? And it's just, like, there's so much wonder in that. And, like, wow, things feel new and fresh and surprising and unexpected, and all those qualities that are just like, yeah, that don't feel like chewed and swallowed and regurgitated, but it's like, it feels like I haven't seen that ever before, even if maybe I have, it's like, wow, I feel like I've never seen that flower. Because I'm just like, yeah, here it is. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like when I saw the film, I was just, and even the little clip that you've been posting, the little promo, I'm like, this is so beautiful. Like, it feels, I don't know.
No, you're right.
Really, and of course that, like, and the sound, the drone, the pump organ, that, like, endless, sound that's continuing, even if the notes are changing, the chords are changing, and the things that I'm doing with it, and it just feels like, it's like, I think I said it.
Well, I think you're talking a bit about, like, it sounds to me like you're also describing kind of like an artistic super bloom, but from the seeds are, you said about knowing your craft. I mean, it's not like you came to have this voice out of nothing. You've put in hours of work, and you've studied, and you've looked at different vocal styles and different traditions and how to really get your voice in your body. And now now the seeds are sown. Like, now you can actually just, when you improvise, it does sound like that. I don't know if you've been lucky your whole life to have that happen, but it feels like that's something that we arrive at in our practice, over the course of decades of all of the, like, diligent work and stuff. And now your practice is more connected to, like, using the instrument that you've cultivated, and now you have the ability to kind of just turn it on. I think something that I've noticed about both of your work, together and separately, is that you're very, you seem to be able to connect to the moment really, really well and stay focused, and not, I don't get the impression whenever I hear you perform that there's any kind of, like, dithering or, like, I'll just stay here for a minute till I get my next idea. Everything feels very, very connected to the next idea and the next idea, and it feels like there's a through line. I'm curious if there's some kind of, I don't know, what's going on in your heads when you're doing that? How are you achieving that?
I mean, I think it's that thing that you come to after being in this practice for a long time as an improviser and as a performer, as a teacher. I think being a teacher has taught me so much. Like, when I'm teaching and things are coming at me, what's happening to people, what I hear from people, the things they say, I think that I have to, like, be so on it and so present and think about the voice and think about the instrument and think about all the musical aspects of it, but also the energetic aspects of it, and just being so present, so on, and letting something just flow, really being a container and a channel. And it's just, I don't know, we finished the first take and we were like, wow, that felt so good. It's like you're, going on, like, an amazing hike or going for a swim or doing something for your body and your soul that just feels really good, and you're in it, and you're like, wow, I should do this more often, like, you know how to do that thing, and you did it. You, like, went there.
Yeah.
You you went there, and you allowed things to move through you. You allowed your mind to just kind of branch off and go there and let that flower into something else, and let that, and that, a new bloom and a fade and a bloom. And it's just like, where is it going? And that feeling of being so on, like you are creating this, you're creating this, but you're also so much of like, you're also just like, what's going on? Like, you're also like,
yeah,
wow, this is happening. And did I just do that? But I'm like so doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. And at the end, you're like, wow, that was really, it's like, there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. There's no like, there's no, that was, it just was what it is what it is. And if I was committed, if I was present and I'm there, it is what it is. And, I mean, especially when there's like an instrument, Archie was supporting it so well. Like he's a drone. He gave me like mountains and hills, but like rolling and expanding, it's not, there's space to like grow, and that's when you're improvising with someone where it really connects like that. It's just the most incredible feeling. And there are certainly times where you're improvising with someone where it does not feel like there is space for that. So, and so we just gave each other that space, and there's a beautiful flow.
Yeah, it's going to be a shame when you have to turn the fridge part on in the or you just have to research, can pump organs withstand 30-degree temperatures?
Yeah, I bet it would maybe change the pitch.
Archie, do you want to say something?
I mean, everything you said was just perfect. I feel like just adding on it is like, it's just trusting. It's trusting that you know what to do and you know what's right. And for me, in this particular piece, the music side of it, I was just excited. I was like, I'm just gonna lay down these like big, thick drones, and I get to just like have this cool Odeya Nini performance.
Right?
Like yeah, like it's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I feel like that it's kind of like a cool collaboration in the sense that like what I did was like this very meticulous process making the video, and I just trusted that the music part, I mean, this is a music thing. This is like a music video.
Yeah.
And I trusted that the music part of it would just be held so strongly by Odeya in the moment, because that's what she does, So it's like her work in this is just her life.
Right.
Like my work in this film was like making this video, and like her work was just how she moves through and thinks about things, and then like that moment that it was recorded, it was an amalgamation of all of that. So,
yeah. I mean, it was so effective. I mean, I knew about the timeline and stuff, and I had no idea that you were going to do the video and then the audio. And I just thought, when we saw the final product, like, oh wow, this goes so well together. I wonder how he was able to edit a video so quickly, given that Odeya had just returned home again. And when I found out it was backwards, I was like, that's even more amazing, but also really smart, because of course you know how to make a video for your duet. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course you're hearing in your head what's going to happen. And it's almost like putting down, not on paper, but like when you make the actual recording, it's almost like, oh yeah, that was of course going to happen, sort of feeling about it. Did you feel like, because I have this experience sometimes because I'm often responsible for the drone, being like a sustained pitch person. Do you get that feeling of like, I can't stop because I'll break everything, or you know what I'm saying? Like you're really responsible for a lot, and having the film end provides you with an exit strategy, I suppose.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean, for sure. But yeah, I feel like, and I'm also not really like much of a keyboard player, but but a lot of what I do on the bassoon is layering long tones and drones in like a kind of like chordal way. So while I was playing, I was kind of thinking about that and like how I know how certain notes work well together. When to bring in the low one and then when to take it away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, layering bassoon, of course, achieves a similar effect, but the pump organ, again, is faster because you can push all of those buttons at the same time. You don't have to like actually make the layers, which is really efficient. I know when you were first talking about this sound, you were kind of imagining almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was it more like a bagpipe sound with vocals? And then I'm wondering like how the pump organ entered into the scene.
Yeah, I was thinking more bagpipes and vocals because we did like a bagpipe vocal thing before that worked really well, and I kind of just want to explore that more.
Yeah.
But I just know like Odeya's done a few pieces with pump organ, and she's been working a lot with Fruity Box, which is almost like a small pump organ in a sense. And I think in the moment it just made sense to have that fuller sound, that fuller, like the bagpipe is such a specific sound. And I feel like after making the film, looking back at it, I was like, this isn't bagpipes. This is like deep pump organ, So I didn't feel like it was bassoon either. I felt like it was like it was pump organ.
Well,
I wonder what you'll make that. Sorry?
Don't say that you're not. So I just want to clarify that Archie is multi-talented instrumentalist. And you weren't just playing like one. There's a lot of movement there with the pump. So a lot happening. But in the drone.
Yeah, it was definitely occupying that role of like holding down the bass and then kind of a subfloor to that. I also know that you really intentionally left that refrigerator room for the sake of this conversation. I think people need to understand that this is not like a home refrigerator that we're talking about. This is like a food preparation space, like house-sized door room. It's like a refrigerated room, right? Anyhow, you intentionally left traces of that in the film, like with all the layers, because you really wanted people to see, this is where the sound was created. And it's a neat moment because it's such a different environment. I mean, it's like brushed aluminum or something. Isn't that I don't know what your fridge is made of.
Yeah, it's very industrial. And it's it's in this space. I'm opening a microbrewery, and it's just that pump organ has been in that refrigerator for a few months, and it's just kind of been like a place to go to play, so like play music for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like if you're stuck on an idea, like you've been writing emails for hours. So I feel like having that like industrial space for just a few seconds of the film mixed in with like all the water and flowers was kind of an idea to show that that beauty can be flowing all around you, through you, inside of you, no matter where you are or what you're going through.
Yeah, it's really effective. It really, it's definitely like something that it stands out in the film, and it's also kind of centering in a way, or it brings you back to the moment because you are sort of floating. I mean, as the observer, it's like flowing through this thing, and all of a sudden you're like in an industrial fridge, and then you're out in the world again, and there's blooms. And
it's like a little reminder.
They're also shots playing it in Michigan and like an old family home, like historic. That kind of comes into it too. So
Yeah.
we're going from 150-year-old home, organ that's been in the family for like a long time, to this like industrial space.
Wait, so is this
Yeah.
organ from Michigan?
No, but there is a pump organ at my parents' house in Michigan. There's that
okay.
there's a one scene where Odeya's playing it. And
Yes.
Hands
But
up.
the house is like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like
There's another house, not where they live in, which is like it's like 150-year-old. It's a very old house that has not been touched. It's been in Archie's
old barn.
generation.
Wow. Oh, cool.
And that
it was given
was kind
his grandmother by someone. So it's like got a whole story, this other pump organ.
That was sort of where we fell in love with the pump.
Yeah.
Was there.
Right.
It was uncovered. Right. What is this? Amazing.
Yeah, and then I got one here.
Right.
And then we found her.
That's great. I mean, it's very this is a very, very personal film, you know, as you're saying, like the fact that, and I think we're just really grateful to you for kind of letting us in, and sharing like such an intimate view of your life, like all your walks. And I know, Archie, that you're a surfer. And so when you're looking at, or I don't know if you self-identify as a surfer, but I feel like you are. And I know that when you're looking at the sand and the waves and the ocean and stuff, you're looking at it through different eyes than, say, I would. I mean, I enjoy the ocean, but I'm not like studying the waves to see how they break, or I don't know. I literally have no idea what surfers are looking for. But it's neat for us to see it through your eyes. And then also that small bit about the desert, because I know that you have a connection to Joshua Tree as well. And then, of course, your own children. And you mentioned that you're opening this brewery, which I think everybody in the music community is super excited about.
Coming soon.
Good.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that. I mean, when I was first kind of going through the clips, and then I remember you were saying, you know, desert. I didn't think I was going to make it out to the desert while filming it. So then I was like, oh, maybe I have some old clips of the desert. And there's that one of our kids running through the sand. And I was like, oh, let me just try this with one of these water scenes, and like just to see how it looks. And it just worked so well that I was like, is this cheesy? It was one of those moments where I was like, where you just have to go. You go with your gut and be like, no, like this was meant to be, you know? And it's like a unique thing. It's Odeya and I think of our kids as being our biggest project we've ever collaborated on, and raising them, and you know, like the scene with like the bird flying, and then it kind of like turns into our son running, and then our daughter joins him, and then they like meet this, you know, I mean, it's all like, it's not like super clear what's going on. You kind of have to like come up with the metaphors, but I feel like once I put that in there, and I decided that it was okay to do that, then it became like way more personal. And then it was like, okay, well then I can add this scene, then I can add this. Oh, maybe I can add like this bird that's outside of our window. You know, maybe I can. Like all of a sudden it became like abstract by combining things that are just beautiful things instead of, you know, other directions I could have taken.
Yeah, well, it's neat that kind of it sounds like you gave yourself permission at that point to just be yourself, which is sort of a weird thing to say, but I do know from, I mean, I don't know, I'm a parent too, and having that, I often am trying to like silo off these portions of my life and not let them touch. And it is a relief, you know, when you can just let it all collapse in on itself and just go about your business, making art or parenting or whatever you're doing, and move through it.
And I think it made that kind of like super bloom concept that you're talking about, where it happened really fast. It made that more possible because it's just what I know more than anything else. It was just natural things. Yeah. Did you feel, it sounds like, because you were thinking about Odeya's voice as you're
working on this film. And I've had this experience before as a performer when I'm working on a new music piece with a living composer, and we're very much in conversation. Did you feel kind of like you did have a collaborator, even though you really didn't for the first half?
Yeah, in a way, just because so many of the things I was filming and looking at were places we've walked together, or like, you know, flowers literally in our backyard.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I wasn't thinking specifically like, oh, if I film this bird, Odeya's going to make a bird sound.
Well,
But I knew that whatever.
Spoiler alert, she didn't.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know. But I have in the past like written graphic scores for Odeya, and I just knew that like it was fun filming images and thinking like, oh wow, what's she gonna do with this? You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it, I mean, it's cool. It's cool to hear too. I really hope that people get a ticket and enjoy the film. I think watching about 3 times is kind of like a good start, because I don't know, I'm still noticing things every time I see it. So I highly recommend watching the film and watching it a few times, just to really let it seep in. Yeah, so we've got tickets on sale till Monday to Intangible Currents is the name of the film, and Super Bloom is the name of the pairing. And thanks so much, you two. Thanks for saying yes and for making this, and for chatting with me today.
Thank you, Cassia. Music for your inbox. Jen, thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for doing what you do. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, tickets are available till Monday, and then we'll send them out on the 20th. Everyone just, you know, wake up early, get your coffee, watch your video. All right, take care, you two.
Have a magical psychedelic day.
Yeah, right?
You know, like,
have a magical psychedelic day, you two.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's right, those are your 3 doses.
yeah.
All right, take care. I'll talk to you real soon.
Bye.
Bye.